Bill Barr said in his own book that he was insane. Bill Barr talks about thwarting Trump's attempt to make Kash Patel the deputy FBI director, an idea he says showed a shocking detachment from reality. The president then started advancing the idea of appointing a deputy FBI director. Patel, who was completing a stint as a deputy acting director of national intelligence. Anyway,
we're going to turn back.
Let's get to Kash Patel. President-elect Trump's picks to lead the FBI.
To politics now, President-elect Donald Trump planning to install a loyalist to lead the FBI. Kash Patel is his name, longtime associate to Trump, has advocated purging the agency on day one and even using it to go after Trump critics. Nancy Cordes has the latest from West Palm Beach.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
I like that every single person that Trump has appointed has been on the Sean Ryan show. It's very cool. Like, I feel like Trump is a Sean Ryan head. Like Pete Hegseth, this guy, every single person has like insane quotes from the Sean Ryan show.
44-year-old Kash Patel has often described what he would do if he were in charge of the FBI.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media.
This weekend, Trump announced Patel will now get that chance if he's confirmed by the Senate.
What are the FBI agents that monitor the chat going to do if their offices are closed, brother? Trust me, I think that the FBI is probably going to beef that up even harder. Trump's FBI is going to monitor the left even harder than they did before.
Current FBI Director Chris Wray, who has 3 years left on his term, would either have to resign or be fired. Kash is a brilliant lawyer, investigator, and America First fighter, Trump wrote, who played a pivotal role in uncovering the Russia hoax. Some Republicans applauded the pick.
I think Kash Patel is a very strong nominee to take on the partisan corruption in the FBI.
But Iowa's Chuck Grassley, who is set to chair the Senate Judiciary Committee next year and will run the confirmation hearings, was more cautious, saying Kash Patel must prove to Congress.
I think there's something really funny about Chuck Grassley having this position. It's like the Dianne Feinstein pick of the Republican Party. Like, it's very cool to give this guy an entire committee to lead when he's like barely sentient, barely alive. Chuck Grassley is, let's see, 91 years old, ladies and gentlemen. 91 years young.
Congress, he will reform and restore public trust in
your PSA appearance convinced the liberal to be a fan. Okay, well, let's watch this and then we'll look at that.
Traditionally, candidates to lead the FBI are viewed as apolitical.
Oh, he's Giga. He was there when racism was invented. Okay? Like, he played a formative role in the invention of racism. Like, he was like, he was in the lab cooking up new ways of saying the word, okay? He was there. The ancient manuscripts of racism, he basically wrote certain aspects of it.
But Patel was an active promoter of Trump's false stolen election claims, even when he was working at the Department of Defense.
Kash Patel's only qualification is because he agrees with Donald Trump that the Department of Justice should serve to punish, lock up, and intimidate Donald Trump's political opponents.
The president-elect took a break from nominations late Friday to dine with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who made a surprise visit to Mar-a-Lago just a few days after Trump vowed to slap a 25% tariff on goods from Canada and from Mexico.
It was an excellent conversation.
And in another meeting of note coming up this week, two top Trump allies, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, will be heading to Capitol Hill to sit down with House Republicans to talk about deep cuts to government spending, something that was a big priority for the president-elect.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the shit that this man did, okay? Kash Patel sold an mRNA detox, reverse the vaccine, get healthy with Warrior Essentials. He sold on Truth Social a fucking, like, anti-vax pill that would undo the impact of the vaccine, which of course is bullshit, but it's still pretty funny. Let's find out more about the Warrior Essentials LLC mRNA detox vaccine reversal pills are likely next. FBI Director Kash Patel has promoted on Truth Social with his own URL/promo code SPIKEGANGSTERS. The link he posted goes to the Warrior Essentials website with the coupon code SPIKE. Were Essentials is owned by a couple who had a multi-level marketing business based on probiotic chocolate and a keto pill business, which was named in a class action lawsuit. Bill Barr said in his own book that he was insane. Bill Barr talks about thwarting Trump's attempt to make Kash Patel the deputy FBI director, an idea he says showed a shocking detachment from reality. The president then started advancing the idea of appointing a deputy FBI director. Patel, who was completing a stint as a deputy acting director of national intelligence, Rick Grinnell, had been a staffer to Congressman Devin Nunes and had served briefly on the NSC staff at the White House under Trump. I categorically oppose making Patel a deputy FBI director. I told Mark Meadows it would happen over my dead body. In the first place, all leadership positions in the Bureau except the director have always been FBI agents. They've all gone through the same agent training and have broad experience in the field and at headquarters. Someone with no background as an agent would never be able to command the respect necessary to run the day-to-day operations of the Bureau. Furthermore, Patel had virtually no experience that would qualify him to serve at the highest level of the world's preeminent law enforcement agency. The Bureau already had an exceptionally able deputy, Dave Bowditch, in whom I had total confidence. He was a strong leader with high integrity. He was indispensable as far as I was concerned. The very idea of moving Patel into a role like this showed a shocking detachment from reality. Now, the funny part about it is that, I mean, f the FBI, okay? But having said that, it's going to get even worse. But let's see. Let's see what else. So this only focuses on the dick pills that he was shilling. He also wrote a child's book, I believe. He also wrote a child's book, I believe, on the Trump impeachment scandal, if I'm not mistaken. Awesome. He has incredible riz and incredible charisma, incredible swag. He is incredibly pro-Israel.
Is elected. Imagine the efforts of the Israeli military and the Mossad combined with the maximum pressure of a new Trump administration against Iran.
Aaron's absolutely right. We should be side by side, and that can't happen unless we have an election that changes the commander-in-chief's seat. And when we are back in power with President Trump, you will see what we did with Israel and the prime minister and our special forces and their intel operation. We will be standing side by side with them. We will shut off the machinery that feeds money into Iran. We will no longer have 100 hostages still in captivity, Israeli and American and otherwise, by Hamas and Iran's Hezbollah mercenary forces. Donald Trump rescued 50 hostages and detainees. That's more than every president before him combined. And I hope he wins on November 5th. And Aaron's right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel. And that is not what Kamala Harris is about. We need to bring home Americans and end this war, bring home Israelis, and make sure we stand by our #1 ally in Israel. And people need to wake up when it comes to November 5th. Donald Trump's the only choice.
Kash Patel, Aaron Cohen, great to see you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Look at his little pin. Oh, here's a clip of him saying he's going to go after the media. Democracy Now! Covered it as well. He is going to use the FBI to go after all of Trump's enemies.
Go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're dictators, because we're actually going to use the Constitution to prosecute them for crimes they said we have always been guilty of, but never have.
And this is Kash Patel speaking on the Sean Ryan show in September.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big. And the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the Museum of the Deep State. And I take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and rapists and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
So, again, that's Kash Patel. When President Trump wanted to make him deputy director of the FBI in his first administration, the Attorney General, Bob Barr, said over my Bill Barr said over my.
The problem is not what they say, okay? The problem is what they do, chat. Never forget. They can present a reasonable position. It's more so about what they signal that they're going to do. This is something you have to remember. They'll never be like, Yeah, we're going to go after political enemies. They're going to try to couch it within a reasonable statement.
Dead body, Mehdi Hasan.
Yes, he did. Bill Barr, of all people, said the guy was completely unqualified. It was detached from reality to try and put him in the FBI. And he said, over my dead body. Gina Haspel, who was director of the CIA in December 2020 during Trump's lame duck, when Trump tried to appoint Kash Patel to deputy director of the CIA. She threatened to resign, and Mike Pence had to get involved and block that. So this is not some kind of liberal whining about Kash Patel. Prominent conservatives at the time said, no way, this guy is completely unqualified. And you played that clip from the War Room, from the Steve Bannon show. I think that's from December 2023.
Dude, every Republican has crazy eyes. Like, every single one. I don't know how. Like, every single Republican, dude, there's just something spiritually wrong with these motherfuckers, man. Sorry, my Amazon delivery person literally doesn't know how to open the door sometimes. That's why I went quiet for a second. That's why I went nonverbal for a second.
He put us on notice, he says in that clip. We're putting you on notice. Well, we're on notice. In fact, I've been warning about Kash Patel since 2022, when I was at MSNBC, and I predicted that Trump would make him FBI director and he would go after the media. He's making it very clear. He wants to prosecute journalists. In another time and era, Amy, those words would be chilling. Those words would disqualify him from the running. But of course, Republican senators mostly will fall in line. We'll see if the Murkowskis and the Susan Collinses and Mitch McConnell, whether they'll push back in the way they did on Matt Gaetz. He's a deeply dangerous nominee. I would argue that clip you played from the Bannon War Room show makes him perhaps the most dangerous nominee so far, because he's open about the fact that he wants to use the power of the state to crush Donald Trump's opponents. He's a sycophant. He's a bag carrier. He literally wrote a children's book about King Donald Trump. That's how sycophantic he is. And I would say to some of the progressives maybe watching your show this morning, Amy Goodman, who say, well, you know what? The FBI does need reform. We on the left don't like the FBI. We think Kash Patel should go break it up. Well, look, you could not like the FBI for good reason, but the only reason Kash Patel and the Republicans don't like the FBI is because the FBI investigated Donald Trump over ties to Russia, and because the FBI
Who's right?
went to Mar-a-Lago and searched his home for stolen classified documents, which he was keeping against the law.
What, leftists are saying that? No, I mean, I would caution people against, like, maybe not celebrating this decision or anything, but like, that's why I was saying there is like we understand what Kash Patel's purpose is, but why the fuck would you ever be a fan of the FBI? I'm not a fan of the FBI. So when you hear a guy say like, oh, I'm going to break the FBI piece by piece and make them fight crime, instead, you're like, okay, that sounds reasonable. But he's just not going to fucking actually do that. He's just going to sick the FBI on, Donald Trump's enemies.
In his home. So they don't actually care about reform or bureaucracy or deep state. They care about neutering all institutions that can stand up to Donald Trump and MAGA.
I want to go more deeply into what he said in Bannon's War Room. We're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens. If you could explain more who you think he's talking about Joe Biden rigging presidential elections, we're going to come after you, Mehdi.
So Patel is at the core of pretty much every major MAGA conspiracy theory about the deep state, about the election. If you go through the list, I mean, he came to prominence. He was a very junior, as I say, unqualified person. He was working on the House Intelligence Committee with Devin Nunes, the right-wing California congressman. And he came to prominence in going after Robert Mueller, going after the Russia investigation, coming up with this memo that some of the stuff in this famous Nunes memo turned out to be true. Some of it, the Inspector General said, no, not true. That's how he caught Trump's attention. That's how he ends up in the White House. That's how he ends up on the National Security Council. By the way, one of the many people saying he shouldn't be given this job is John Bolton, his former boss. Not exactly a kind of lily-livered liberal. John Bolton saying he should be rejected by the Senate 100-0. But he's at the core of every conspiracy theory, Amy, whether it's about, Donald Trump didn't lose the election, whether it's January 6th. He testified in a Colorado courtroom over January 6th in the election. The judge said he wasn't a credible witness. He's even had endorsement, I think you mentioned it in the intro, of QAnon in one of the books he wrote. He actually hand wrote a QAnon mantra into the book, and they just posted it on social media. By the way, the FBI regards QAnon as a domestic terror threat. Think about the irony, Amy, of putting a person in charge of the FBI who's actually fine with this group that the FBI thinks is a domestic terror threat. So he is at the core of all these conspiracies. When he says he's going after people, you ask me who he's talking about. Of course, he's talking about the Bidens and Clintons of this world, but actually it's much more dangerous than that. It's much broader than that. It's anyone who they think He's an opponent. I mean, let's just be this is what authoritarianism looks like. I know it's become fashionable since the election, even on parts of the left, to say, well, it was all exaggerated to say that Trump is a fascist threat to the Constitution or an authoritarian threat to the media. No, it's not exaggerated. These people are saying it out loud, and Trump is appointing them or trying to appoint them to the most senior positions in the United States government and national security apparatus.
And let's talk about who he would be replacing. Christopher Wray, whose term doesn't end for several years, who was appointed by...
What? Mehdi Hasan is an absolute hysteric on domestic policy? No, the fuck he's not. I agree with him. Then I'm an absolute hysteric on domestic policy as well. I have no reason not to believe Donald Trump when he says he's going to do certain things. Why would I not believe him? There's nothing stopping him.
Donald Trump, and why an FBI director has a 10-year term, which goes back to what, post-Watergate, when a president, Nixon, is trying to deploy his FBI director exactly in the way Kash Patel threatens to do, so that they would span several terms.
Well, we know that J. Edgar Hoover was the man who abused more FBI power than any director in the history of the FBI. I think he was in charge for 4 decades, 5 decades, astonishing amount of time. No president dared to remove him. And the 10-year terms comes in after that, of course. By the way, I would credit my former MSNBC colleague Hayes Brown, who said appointing Kash Patel to the FBI director's job would be like appointing a cross between J. Edgar Hoover and Alex Jones, which I think sums up pretty well who Patel is. But look, on the 10-year term, what's interesting, Amy, is, of course, Donald Trump is the great precedent breaker, the great norm buster. When I hear Democrats talking about norms, Trump's already trashed all of them. In Trump term one, he got rid of James Comey, of course, who he was angry at, even though James Comey arguably helped him win the 2016 election. But he got rid of Comey and put in Wray. And that itself was quite unprecedented. Only the second time, I believe, an FBI director had been fired and replaced in the middle of their term. So he appointed Wray. Then he got upset with Wray. Now he wants to replace Wray. I would also make a side point to some of the progressives watching at home. Why is it that their FBI director is always a Republican, even under Democratic presidencies? It's always a Republican. And Democratic presidents always keep on the Republican who the previous Republican appointed.
Yeah, it's fucking loser shit. Them suck. Them suck dick. What else is new? I don't give a fuck about the institutional integrity of the FBI. It's a bad institution. And even then, it's going to get even worse. That's it. We are headed down a dark path in this country.
Which I just find so ironic. But now he wants to get rid of Wray, put in Patel, which tells you, again, everything that he wants from the FBI. He wants to use it as an instrument of vengeance, a score settling, of silencing dissent. He wants to use it to basically intimidate people. And that's why he's getting rid of Wray, not because he disagrees with Wray's politics. Christopher Wray is a Republican who Trump appointed. But in this Trump term, he's made it very clear what he wants the FBI to be doing.
I wanted to ask you about another of Trump's picks. The New Yorker magazine's Jane Mayer has an explosive piece in the magazine. Trump's pick for Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, was forced out of leadership roles at 2 veterans organizations for misusing funds, sexually harassing women, being repeatedly drunk on the job. According to a whistleblower report, Hegseth once had to be restrained from joining strippers on the stage at a strip club. In another incident, he drunkenly chanted, "Kill all Muslims, kill all Muslims" at a bar in 2015. Meanwhile, the New York Times reports Hegseth's own mother accused him of mistreating women. In 2018, Penelope Hegseth wrote him an email that read in part, quote, "On behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you've abused in some way, I say get some help and take an honest look at yourself," unquote. The email was sent a year after a woman accused Hegseth of raping her at a California hotel. This is Trump's pick to head the Defense Department. Your final...
His own mom, chap. His own mom, chap. That's how fucking nutty this shit is. Like, you gotta be a real evil piece of shit for your mom to come out and write you a fucking letter like this.
No comments on this, Mehdi Hasan.
So, Amy, if you'd asked me this a few weeks ago, I'd have said Hegseth is the worst pick of all. You can't get worse than Hegseth. And then we got Tulsi Gabbard, and I said you can't get worse than Gabbard. And then we got RFK Jr., and I said you can't get worse than RFK Jr. And now we've got Kash Patel, and I'm telling you, can't get worse than Kash Patel. Donald Trump says, hold my beer every time, and keeps producing these nominees. And look, while we're focused on Patel, we've got more reporting on Hegseth. I mean, it's astonishing. It's almost beyond belief. If you were writing a TV show about the Trump years, if it was a Netflix show called The Trump Years, you would say these storylines are just too unrealistic. If you were sitting in the writer's room and you said, you know what, let's have a scene where it turns out that Hexus, the great Christian nationalist, tried to get on stage with strippers. Let's have his mother write him a letter saying, I disown you because of all, your misogyny. You would say, oh, come on, that's a little unrealistic. Those are kind of beyond parody characters. No, it's real life. This is the Trump administration. These are the people he's appointing. And I think it's interesting, by the way, the Islamophobia is very worrying on Hexus' part, because there was this strain of thinking, even on some parts of the left, that, well, Trump won't be as militaristic and belligerent as the Democrats.
Bro, we get it. Parts of the left are wrong, I guess, in your estimation. Jesus Christ, Mehdi, come on. I think he's talking about Cenk. No, he's talking about people who, he's talking about, once again, the no noise making, very few random accounts on Twitter, and including some members even in this fucking community that are like, Trump's gonna be better than Kamala Harris on Gaza or whatever. You know what I mean? The MAGA communists.
Not true. He's putting in a guy at Defense Department who has crusader tattoos on his body, who said outrageous things about killing Muslims, supported the Iraq war. He's going to be in charge of the Pentagon. There's no way this is going to be a quote unquote anti-war presidency if Hexus is at the Pentagon and Marco Rubio's at the State Department. By the way, can you imagine, Amy, if Biden or Obama had a nominee who had been accused of screaming drunkenly, kill all Jews, it'd be the end of the world. But of course, with Muslims, no one cares. So this will be a minor story in the resume of Peter Hexus. One last point very quickly.
He's a neoliberal. This guy stabbed Jeremy Corbyn in the back when there was no need. No leftist likes him. I still like him. I think you need voices like his in the broader conversation. And also, I get why he did that. Maybe it's because, I think, don't say Hasan, no. I have my reasons. I'll tell you why. I think Mehdi and I was never anti-Corbyn. You guys know this. I was always a fucking ride or die for Corbyn. I've always defended him unconditionally, told people to fuck off when they try to say like he was an anti-Semite or whatever. But I think for Mehdi, it's a little bit different than Owen Jones. It's not just because he's Muslim. It's because not only was he Muslim, but he also used to have very different opinions back in the day. Okay? And people haven't really like resurfaced that in a while. Yeah. Mehdi. He was like he was very publicly loud, bold, declarative about being a conservative Muslim. That's all I'll say. And I think he's obviously doesn't believe any of that shit anymore. But when you're a prominent media figure, statements like that haunt you forever, especially when you are Muslim. So I think he's always forced to play ball in a very aggressive way. I get why people have their opinions though. But yeah, I saw those videos, but they're not so bad. He just said the word kuffar. Look, man, I don't think this is who Mehdi is now at all. It does not represent him at all. And I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think that's part of the reason why he toes this line. And he's done a fantastic job in pro-Palestinian advocacy. It does not matter that he was against Corbyn. I get why people would be. I'm telling you, I understand why people are people within the pro-Palestinian advocacy movement, like some people are a little bit worried about him, but he has been a incredibly important voice in pro-Palestinian advocacy in mainstream media. You can't cast that aside. He's unwavering in his support for Palestine, and he has also personally gotten career ramifications for it. He lost his fucking job. He was a voice on MSNBC. He no longer has that voice on MSNBC.
He is Hexus.
No, I like Owen Jones too. I'm gonna hang out with him when I'm in London.
Mother is attacking him. Elon Musk's daughter is attacking him. Bill Barr is attacking Kash Patel. Donald Trump was called Adolf Hitler by J.D. Vance. When people say, liberals are deranged about Trump people, it's always other Republicans who are actually leading the charge and reminding us how awful these people are.
And, of course, it's other Republicans who would have to approve these appointees, these nominations, unless this is done in a recess appointment. 20 seconds, maybe.
Many of them will, Amy. They all roll over. They're intimidated by Trump. A lot of them are scared to go against Trump. And it comes down to basically, the four who stopped Gates, Mitch McConnell, Murkowski, Collins, and the new Utah replacement for Mitt Romney, whose name I forget. But those four Republicans are basically the ones everyone's going to look at and say, Are you going to stand up for the Constitution? Are you going to stand against this unqualified nominee, Kash Patel, this dangerous nominee, Peter Hegseth, RFK Jr., who kids could die because of? Let's see.
Mehdi Hasan, I want to thank you for being with us, Editor-in-Chief.
The standard for a lot of left-adjacent commentators was set by Corbyn and the way that people treated Corbyn. The British media opened up a faucet of smears against Jeremy Corbyn, calling him an anti-Semite for having the exact same opinions that I have. Okay, that's it. And some in liberal positions or some in mainstream media also rode that anti-Corbyn wave and criticized them. Many people never forgave those who did that, even if their position has evolved over time, even if they recognize that they're not, even if they recognize that he wasn't, you know, now they recognize that they were wrong. Owen Jones has apologized for it, I'm sure. New Labour affiliated journals were presenting him like this. Remember when they fucking said, Jeremy Corbyn rode a Mao style bike? That was a news story, chat. And it's really funny because at the same time while this was happening, the Tories were putting up a fucking statue of Nancy Astor, who literally said, verbatim, Hitler had the right idea about Jews. That's what Nancy Astor said. The Tories were putting up a statue of her while mainstream media was literally running the fucking faucet of Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite stories. And I'll take it one step further. I like Corbyn more than I like Bernie. The problem is both Corbyn and Bernie are impossibly nice. They're too nice. I think Corbyn had more moral clarity on a lot of issues than even Bernie did. And I love Bernie. You know this. I literally didn't know Corbyn was actually smeared and assumed he was anti-Semitic until I started watching you. Dude, British media is crazy. British media is insane, dude. Look. Cultural revolution style re-education for anyone who says Corbyn rides Chairman Mao bike. They were claiming that Corbyn was doing cultural revolution shit in the party. I fucking wish. The only time, dude, the more I see the rat fuck, the more I understand why, former failed revolutionary principles were cast aside. I know where it's going, I know where it comes from. You must not succumb to those opinions, or your feelings in that process. But like, goddamn, dude, a lot of people make it really hard. Corbyn was always far too nice. Anyway, we got the 5, but here, let's watch CNN.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big.
Already has some controversial ideas for overhauling the bureau.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
We heard this
Claims
already.
is made of journalists, big tech, elected leaders, and senior government bureaucrats.
And our biggest enemy against that truth is the deep state. And we are on a mission to annihilate the deep state.
He's also shown a taste for retribution, including over false claims of 2020 election fraud.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out.
He's been a public defender and a federal prosecutor in the Justice Department's National Security Division. During the first Trump term, he worked on the National Security Council and then as chief of staff to the acting defense secretary.
We're blessed by God to have Donald Trump be our juggernaut of justice, to be our leader, to be our continued warrior in the arena.
Patel defended Trump against the charges he faced in the now dropped classified documents case.
Bro, I cannot stand how fucking annoying his outfits are, bro. I can't stand how these motherfuckers carry themselves, bro. I hate it. Like, everything else aside, these are straight up the people that you avoid when you see out in broad daylight. The people that you don't want to make eye contact with. Now they're in fucking positions of power. It's literally people that you would be like, oh, gross. Like, you see them from afar and they got this weird aura and you're like, I'm gonna not want to talk to this guy. Every single one of these motherfuckers, man. Every single person that Donald Trump has chosen to lead any of these agencies literally has the vibes where you cannot leave your drink around them without covering it, okay? I don't know how else to describe. I mean, and it's understandable that you have that feeling when you got the likes of Pete Hegseth and shit, but like, You see what I'm saying? Like, there's something so weird, even on the aesthetics front, where you're like, why are you dressed like that? Why? I'm sorry. Maybe this is too hyper-focused on a random, nonsensical aesthetic focus, but I can't stand the way these motherfuckers carry themselves, bro. From King Donald kids books to pills claiming the reverse COVID vaccine, Kash Patel's MAGA merch ventures. He's a MAGA merch guy. Like, think about the most insane person that never left your hometown after high school and got arrested for drunk driving like 8 times. Now think about that person's family business. It's a Trump store. Now that guy runs the FBI. Fuck! This motherfucker wears the cash pin everywhere he goes, bro. How the fuck do we go from, lol, look at these guys that like get the MAGA rap on their fucking pickup trucks, to being like, that guy runs the Department of Transportation now. We're putting MAGA raps on every bus. Patel penned 3 children's books, dude. That's like disqualifying. As a part of the plot against the King trilogy, featuring himself as a wizard called the Distinguished Discoverer. Defending King Donald from villains, the 3 main villains are Hillary Quinton, Sleepy Joe, and Kama La La La. Kama La La La. The first installment, which Patel called the first ever children's Russiagate book. Bro, I'm sorry, you need to be institutionalized if you say these words, okay? Like, if you say these words in succession, hey, I created the first ever children's Russiagate book. It doesn't matter if you're a fucking liberal or Republican, you need to go to a mental asylum immediately. You are in ever-present danger to yourself and others around you. You have to be put in the machine, okay? It follows a story the FBI started investigating Trump's 2016 campaign of alleged ties with the Kremlin based on the Steele dossier. The blurb reads that it's a fantastical retelling of Hillary's horrible plot against Trump and the whole family. Patel also authors 2023 memoir, Government Gangsters, where he called for a purge of the government employees who undermine the president's agenda. Trump hailed Patel's memoir as a blueprint to take back the White House, according to promotional endorsements. His other ventures include the Cash Foundation, which is set up to provide legal defense funds for whistleblowers, according to his website. The organization came under scrutiny last year after Patel paid the legal fees for 2 Republican House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan witnesses in his bid to prove the federal government had been weaponized against conservatives. The charity store also includes a suite of merchandise from Patel's Cash brand, including playing cards of himself as the king and Hillary Clinton as the Joker, and apparel with Trump's hair photoshopped on a Punisher skull in a range called Orange Man Black. According to tax filings for 2023, the charity's revenues rose to $1.3 million last year. Ah! This is an endlessly fortuitous grift. Like, you can be this much of a fucking dumbass and still make like a decent amount of money. Meritocracy is real. Yeah, if your only measure of success is how hard you can ride Trump's dick. Yeah, if the Olympics was factoring in competitive dick riding, yes, Kash Patel would be a champion. The former lawyer is also on the board of Trump's media and technology group, which owns the president-elect's social media platform, True Social. He reportedly had a consulting contract with the company paying him $120 grand a year. Patel also helped produce the song Justice for All. Oh my God, he did the Justice for All song. Oh my God. Oh my God. You have to listen to it. You have to listen to it. It's the choir. It's from the January 6th choir. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's only on Rumble, dude. What the fuck?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands.
Why are they showing what they did to get to get thrown in jail? I feel like that in and of itself is kind of dumb, you know? They literally showed Ashley Babbitt get fucking smoked. Here's the thing, dude. Remember, it's 144p audio because they're in prison. They recorded this in prison. But the thing is, earlier today, I said, who gives a fuck if the J6 people get, if they're released? I don't care. Whatever. Who gives a fuck? They've already served their time. And then I watched this video and I'm like, no, keep him in perma-jail. Fuck it. Put Lin-Manuel Miranda right next to him in prison too. Nah, dog, we can't have these people out. I'm done. I'm done. Put them back in jail. If they are ever out, they present a danger to society. Low-key, this right here, in my opinion, it shows that they didn't learn. They have the capacity to reoffend. As a matter of fact, they're reoffending right now. They are reoffending right now with this song. Keep him in prison. Is this actually domestic terrorist propaganda? Technically, yes, but that's not how anything works. Like, they're not scary and brown, so it's not like something that is enforceable. And therein lies the problem with the political designation of terror anyway. That's why, as long as there's any sort of like academic or journalistic value, it should be allowed.
One nation, under God.
Here's that orange man black shirt. Stop. Dude, God damn, this country is so cooked, dude. It's in the pooper. The country is in the dumps. The website that he operates is called basedapparel.com. Oh my God. This guy is going to run the FBI chat. Here are the playing cards. Government gangsters playing cards. Oh God. Wait, so there's a different card for Trump and that's just T? So what is T then? What is that a substitute for? I can't explain to you like it's just my disdain for people like this, but it just legitimately feels like we're at the precipice of just like being governed by. We went from being governed by a dude with a mental disability, dementia, to an entire cabinet full of people with different, varying degrees of mental disabilities. I just don't see this playing out fine in any capacity whatsoever. Patel went on a Nazis podcast. Maybe someone should ask Patel about all the appearances he made on the program hosted by Jew-hating, Hitler-loving extremist conspiracy theorist Stu Peters. They don't give a fuck, dude. This is also the other aspect of a lot of these institutions basically fucking undermining the severity and how damning of an accusation it is when you call someone an anti-Semite by constantly conflating a fucking criticism of Israel, which is like a valid position that many Americans and many people in the Western world hold. Now, when you go, this guy's a fucking neo-Nazi who hates Jewish people, people will just be like, oh yeah, you say that about everybody. Well, it's valid for this guy. I hate this shit so much. I don't even know who this fucking guy is, you know? Kash Patel is pro-Israel, yes. So I don't think anybody gives a shit about him linking up with anti-Semites and shit. Has the ADL issued a statement of this? Or any of the other establishment conservative U.S. Jewish community orgs? Or are they too busy policing Rashida Tlaib's criticisms of Israel? It is pretty sad, but this is just the next 4 years, man. This is just the next 4 years.
Down. Jessica, how do you see Kash Patel?
The good news is he is not being accused of having sex with a minor. So the bar, we're up here, so that's good. He also, in good news, just put his enemies list out there. It's in his book, Government Gangsters. His vision for reforming the FBI, I guess, is just being angry at people who worked for Barack Obama and Republicans who are mean to Trump.
Not a bad place to start. It all went down. Jessica, how do you see Kash Patel?
The good news
is he hasn't like tried to fuck a minor, but we also don't know. You know what I mean?
What to look for. I just think it's unfair that you guys get to see this and we don't get to see any of the female members of the cabinet.
Who do you want to see?
I'd like to see maybe Linda McMahon doing yoga. I'm asking you to hold my hand, damn it.
No, Christy, no.
Tulsi surfing. I don't know. Can I see something that's not fair, Jessica? It's just.
He's so gross. Like, he's just trying to make a joke and realizes halfway through that he's being like a weird misogynist and still tries to like salvage it by being like, oh, I just want to see them be athletic. He has just like a child's brain. I don't know. What is this? Guy put away his device for 7 days and later came back with his take. Turning off all my device for 7 days, leaving them at home, and going on a trip with family. We'll pray, read, write, and spend quality time for Thanksgiving. Grateful for Lord Jesus Christ. Everything else is lost. See you in December, Lord willing. Make gay marriage illegal again. This is not remotely controversial nor extreme. What happened?
Okay, I'm going to do something that is rarely done, I think, or I rarely see on the internet, which is admit that I was wrong. I was wrong a couple of weeks ago, and I was convinced, or my mind was changed by a single person, a single interview. I finally dipped a toe back into Pod Save America because so many recommended the Hasan Piker episode, and I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and I stand corrected. He had, not the Pod Save Bros, but Hasan Piker had the most well-articulated post-election analysis and articulation, I think, of what went wrong that I have been able to hear to date. And he stood toe-to-toe with the Pod Bros, who I am now seeing are quite establishment, corporate, and he changed my mind. He single-handedly changed my mind. And he did it with a great radio voice. Just a voice made for radio. And then I look him up, and he's good-looking. Give that guy a TV show. I tried to see if he had a podcast. I think I might have to download Twitch. I don't know. But if you haven't heard it, go listen to that episode. Bravo, Hasan Piker. You're right. Democrats need to make some changes. I still stand behind ditching New York Times and Washington Post and MSNBC and all the rest. And I still stand behind that a lot of Trump voters are racist, misogynistic, and dumb. But two things can be true at the same time. And what Hasan very clearly articulated, and I won't replay it here because go listen to the episode or go follow him. I mean...
Okay, to be fair, I do a podcast, but it's called Fear and we don't even talk about about politics on it. This is in 5 days got almost 500,000 views.
Welcome to Pod Save.
And it's kind of funny because like it is doubled the Harris campaign interview that they conducted. It was back to back, and it literally is their most successful media product in probably months, except for this one, how Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris 3 weeks ago. Finish the Cash song? No, I'm not going to. Show every day where you talk about politics 8 to 10 hours a day. Don't you think a political podcast would have so much more reach being on the top charts consistently? I think I need to hire a team to just like cut what I do here and then turn it into a podcast and then upload it as a straightforward podcast at the end of the day or something. This video was also exactly my experience when I first saw the Podjohns episode you were on. In that episode, I realized the Podjohns was establishment corporate and way less left than I thought they were. I think Podjohns are... And this is a sad state of affairs. This is not me criticizing the Podjohns, but I think the Podjohns are the most left that the establishment allows. Yeah. Okay, stop sending me Kash Patel shirts, please. Oh my God, what the fuck is this, bro? Oh my God, this guy is running the FBI, dude. Oh my God, we're so fucking cooked. It was hard for me to find the list of people Kash Patel included in his book, Government Gangsters, Deep State Officials Who Need to Be Targeted. So here it is in one place. Yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't really care about this list, this hit list.
Our leader to be our continued warrior in the arena.
Patel defended Trump against the charges he faced in the now dropped classified documents case.
They can take what they want. You can't be prosecuted for possessing classified documents.
And while he's claimed violent offenders from January 6th deserve punishment, he's defended others charged in relation to the riot at the U.S. Capitol.
Their lives have been destroyed by the Justice Department because of a political vendetta they want to enact through the justice system to take out Trump.
As for his other endeavors, Patel has a line of apparel as brash as its creator, with items featuring his signature KA$H. He also penned a children's trilogy, apparently dedicated to Trump, the, quote, king of the series. The most recent installment describes the tale of the, quote, MAGA king.
Dude, it's just like, it's so fucking lame, too. It's not even cool. I mean, I guess it's good that it's not cool. I don't know, something about it just like really pisses me off. Like, they don't even have the fucking aesthetics. They don't even have the appearance of like someone that's trying to at least like market themselves. They're just gross, childish. Like it is literally child brain. It makes me so mad. Dropsite posted a clip. Popular progressive streamer Hasan Piker joined Pod Save America's John Levin to discuss the relationship between left-wing media and Democratic Party. I want to be the most regime-pilled propaganda minister you've ever seen, but I can't do that if the Democratic Party's not offering anything. I can speak to my friends at Dropsite News, Jeremy Scale, and Ryan Graham. Majority Report was more excited for Kamala Harris than I was. Chapo Trap House. These are some of the largest media companies on the left in the orbit of the Democratic Party. Every single one of these outlets, myself included, talk more about the Biden administration's accomplishments with the NLRB, Lena Khan at the FTC, trust busting, and numerous other accomplishments than the Democratic Party did. And it didn't matter because starting in October 2023, there was so much that Joe Biden did that made it impossible to defend him. You would say it's corporatized merch because normally MAGA merch is supposed to be crazy. Everything is devolving. They're doing types of racism in India we can't even conceive of. Trump is caste-pilled. Ramaswamy versus Patel. Vivek is a smooth talker and safe pair of hands. Technical enough to manage engineers. Business savvy enough to raise around. But refined, not a brawler. Cash is the Gunda, a thuggy. He will disappear. What does that word mean? He will disappear deep state traders. I assume it's like something very racially charged. Oh my God, bro. Indian racism hits so different. Like, it's crazy. Indian racism just always, it never ceases to amaze me. Like, and it's not because I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, haha, most white supremacists think you're, you know, subhuman. It's just like, it's so much more advanced than white people racism, like the average white person's racism. And I think it's because of the caste structure is crazy. The caste structure supercharged by like Western white supremacy and you know, the notion of like Aryan, the adoption of the Aryan as a rhetorical tool by the Nazi party, it just like supercharged Indian racism into a degree that I don't even understand. Like, it is like they've been at this shit for so long, dude. Indian racists have been at this racism game since before a time where white people knew how to wipe their asses. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. We just don't really think about it. We don't really consider it because it's like all the way over there, right?
Okay, I know everybody.
We don't have to watch every pod safe pilled guy. Like, we never really think about it. This is why I quit being racist. Too many sweats. No, literally. Spend one day on Indian Twitter and you will understand. And it's crazy because like the diet racist white supremacists are always like, lol, like Indians are, you know, they'll just say like silly childish things. Like the anti-Indian racism is completely out of control on Twitter, but like Nazis like on Twitter and their racism against Indians oftentimes more damaging, specifically because of, you know, migration patterns and Indians being like a marginalized community, brown people being marginalized in like the Western world. It obviously hits different, but like it's kind of it seems infantile in comparison to like some of the shit that I see on Indian Twitter. Like, and it's so funny. Oh, this is a great comparison. The racism on the Indian subcontinent is like a step above the racism among Slavs in the Balkans. Is wild. Yeah. It's so, that's such an apt analogy. It is like Balkan style hatred for dudes that look exactly like you, sound exactly like you, eat the same fucking food. It's just like why the fuck do you hate your neighbor so much, man? It's weird as hell. And I say this as a Turkish guy, and you know, when you look at Armenians and you look at Greeks and you look at Turkish people in a lineup, you're not going to be able to tell who's who. That's it. It's so fucking stupid. It's just religion and language. But yeah, racism against Indians is so fucking normalized online. Having said all of that, it's wild. Like, it is. And it's like the most overt type of racism, like the childish racism of being like, oh, Indians smell bad or some shit. You know what I mean? That's like you're like a kid. You have a kid's brain. And it's so nutty that like it is literally, how do I describe it? Like, I would say that anti-black racism has been forced into being more complex because most people understand what it is when someone says it. Like when any racist person compares like a black person to a monkey or an ape or whatever, everybody immediately understands like where the fuck that's coming from. And I feel like anti-Indian racism online is equivalent to not using any dog whistles whatsoever, or not even using, yeah, it's like curry jokes and shit. It's like weird that Americans know about it though, because for the longest time for Americans, like due to migration, once again, like Americans don't know the P word, for example. If you are coming from a country where there's like a lot of migration from Pakistan and India, there are specific slurs for it, right? in England, in Canada, in Australia, like the P word is Pakistani but shortened, okay? The first 4 letters. Americans don't even know what that is. I know that because every time I talk about that slur, people don't even fucking know what it is. They're like, what? Americans don't know what that is so much that George W. Bush said it before, right? And yet, like, I don't know, I feel like they're adopting. Like, it's really bad in Canada, it's really bad in Australia, it's really bad in Commonwealth countries. And now Americans are trying to adopt it too. They're like learning about it and they're like, oh, yep, this is a new... Americans be like, new kind of racism. Nice. I love learning about new versions of racism.